Oh, my speaker's on again. And we're echoing. Blah. Welcome to Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. We paint pieces. If you don't know the drill already. We also make lots of jokes and we do other crazy, exciting things from time to time. It just kind of all depends on you guys, honestly. So, like, it depends on who shows up and what kind of craziness and hilarity you bring to the table. Otherwise, it's just me painting pieces and just kind of running my mouth. So we finished this guy up yesterday. He turned out super cool. Really, really excited about Karn. Really liked the way that guy turned out. He looks awesome. Now he's all dried up. You can see him. See him in all his glory. He's all finished up. Oh, got a little hair. A couple of those will still fall off from time to time. But, you know, for the most part, they're stuck down on there. So, anyway, that was fun. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Seems like it got a lot of attention. So, today we are back on Project Tyranid, which means where everything is going back to the color scheme we've been using. If you're unfamiliar with the way that color scheme looks, it's very similar to this. It's a great looking piece. This is the psychophage for the army. So everything's going to kind of have this look to it. Barbgaunts have a little more going on with them, so it'll be kind of fun to see what we want to do. We have the option of adding yet like another color here. I haven't decided what I want to do yet. Barbgaunts are pretty interesting gaunts. Barbgaunts. I think these guys, I don't know if they got glued down or not. Maybe we can, yeah. Awesome. So that's going to make this a whole lot easier for us if we can take these arms off. Hopefully all of them come off. Hopefully I didn't glue any of them. They almost look exactly like the exact same pattern too. So that'll make things a whole lot easier with this whole situation. We'll be able to get in there and do that. Yeah, I think they are all the exact same piece. They all look exactly the same. So that's nice. That means that I only really need to do one. So you guys don't have to, we don't have to sit there and do 5 of them. I'll do the other ones when you guys aren't looking. So anyway, here's all of our guns. Now we can pull that off to the side. The unfortunate side is I got some extra work I got to do in here that I didn't do when I did the quick mock up to get them ready for us to paint. So let's take a look at these guys. Let's see which one. The legs seem to be the only difference. Let's pick one with something fun going on with its feet. Alright, it's definitely between these two guys. They both at least have the little doodaddy coming up. This one's got a tongue coming out though. This one doesn't. Okay, I think we got to go for the one with the tongue, right? Because we want that little. That's fun. I probably shouldn't do that on film. That's pretty weird. Even for me, that's a little too weird. Or maybe not. I don't know. Depends on what people like, I suppose. We'll see. You get to watch all like your analytics and stuff, and you get to see what your what all your numbers do. So you can tell whether or not something is like a really bad idea or not, because people just won't watch, which is pretty crazy. I think something has happened to my camera just a little bit. There we go. I think it's finally starting to understand it wants to it needs to focus in on these pieces. There we go. If it sits there with the light, I guess maybe it fades off and does something funky. That's kind of cool. So yeah, anyway, bear with me while I learn all the fun parts about how webcamming and interneting works. I spent a lot of time as a chef, so my knowledge of other things besides how to cook great food is limited. I used to know more when I was younger. I used to be more into computers and stuff. But, yeah. So I'm going to put down some paints. We're going to put down a little bit of Mars Black. You know, we can always put some more down. It always looks like there's a lot going down, but it's really not. It's just like a smoosh out of the tube. I've had this same tube of Mars Black for like 4 years. So it doesn't go very fast. So anyway, so there's some Mars Black. Where's my white? We might need these today. I doubt it, but we might. I always use these guys if my lids are stuck. And it's kind of this kind of a shape anyway. So it makes it a little easier to get that off of there in case I need to. And yeah, way I don't tear up my hands, because you know you really don't want to tear up your hands. I mean, honestly, it's not a great idea. All right, little Payne's gray. I love this color. It's a really dark blue gray. We use it for a lot of things. And we might need it today. I'm not going to worry about putting some of these purples and other browns and stuff down that I don't always need. But I know we'll need this one. This is our raw umber. And I don't always do this paint setup every single time we start a new project. But I do think it's kind of fun every now and again to kind of refresh, you know, palettes and stuff like that. I do use a burnt sienna and a burnt umber. I really probably want to put the burnt umber down first because of the kind of change in the tones of the colors. It's better if you can kind of keep them in order from, you know, darkest to lightest, or a tone that you can remember. And what I try to do is keep the colors on here the way they're listed on the doobly-doo. That's right down there below for you guys. So hopefully that's helpful for everybody. Should be. Alright, we usually use a lot of that burnt sienna, so we're going to drop a little bit of that down. I'm going to need it for all these other things, so I'll put a little bit more down. Oh, come loose. Okay. And then Naples yellow. This guy is a big star in my my palette. I use it a lot. It's a great kind of natural yellow cream color. Works out really well. And then we're going to drop this magenta down for today, and that should be all we really need, except for possibly a little bit of primer. Which in this situation, this is when it's good to have a primer that's you can brush on or whatever. Rattle cans are great too, and you can use those. I'm definitely not bagging on rattle canning. I have that myself. I think I still have one black left, but I'm going to switch over to the airbrush for all my priming needs. Well, my hair went right down the middle. It looked very 90s today, especially with the purple shirt. Very 90s-esque. So, anyway, put our tool up so it's not in our way. And I think that's all we need to worry about for now. So I just got a little bit of, this is like just a gray primer. Yeah. And I just want to get these areas where it was kind of hidden from when I did my original priming and whatever. You can kind of see down here, it didn't quite catch for us. Goodness. Now I'll have to do a little bit more of this for my other ones. They're gonna have caught better, but this one definitely needs to. Well, hello, Jared. How are you today? So just drop that a little bit of that primer right on there. And we'll let that dry while we work on some of this other stuff. First thing, so a couple of cool things about these particular critters. One, they're gaunts, so they're essentially the same as these things in a way. So this is one form of the gaunt, and then the ones that have the little claws are another, and then our Vein Ryan Leapers were another, and then this is yet another form. Now it's got a funky kind of gun that shoots this deal, and that has like a parasite on its head. This little thing with this brain. Now this parasite, it's like a targeting computer. They think that we don't know. The fun part about Warhammer is you don't have all the information. You're not supposed to. So anywho, so with this will be second verse, same as the first. We've done this particular color scheme several times. I think we're starting to become kind of an expert at it. What I think I'm going to do this time is I'm not going to worry about putting that magenta down after messing with this a couple times. I'm just going to get this, make sure all of my Naples yellow is covered good, and then I'm going to hit it with my wash, and then we're just going to go to the blend of the magenta from there. It seems like it might work faster that way, and I'm trying to speed this process up. I wanted the deeper magenta, but I think it actually shows up. It'll actually show up just fine if we do it this way. I do need to decide how I want to paint that thing. So that's something we really got to take a look at. We can just do all these arms real quick. And this should speed up our process. And that's one of the things when you start coming up with a paint scheme, the more you mess with it, the more you kind of start to say, okay, well, that was an unnecessary step, I think. And then find out if it is in fact an unnecessary step, and then take the moment to make it. Ooh, knock the shit out of that. Take the time to refine your technique. If you think you have all the answers, you're probably wrong. And the second you think it's all perfect, you've probably made a mistake. You need to take a look. Every time I take a look at any of my pieces, I find the imperfections. So you should always be striving to be better. And since this is an army, and I'm going to have to paint this paint scheme again, and again, and again, and again, as we add stuff to this army. I want to refine the technique and make it better and better. Easier, smoother, quicker, faster, stronger. That sort of stuff. And the only place I might magenta pre-wash is going to be like those joint areas. But I'm going to leave like that fade from the muscle alone. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that as a separate after the wash. I'm going to see how that turns out. Like I said, I think overall that's going to give us a better result. So these are the things I sit around and think about at night. How do I make this better and more easy? Especially for since we're doing kind of like a tutorial show. I really like the idea of making it to where people can duplicate this if they feel like that's what they want to do. The focus is still a little funky. Probably because the light is in the wrong place. There we go. That's much better. Oh, good. Only 16 minutes in. And most of that was me rambling, so that's good. I'm getting better at that. Now, the reason I want to put this Naples down is I want to make sure there's something for the wash to actually stick to. So, like, you know, where we can take the magenta out of the situation until later on for some parts of this. We want there to be nothing for the wash to stick to at all. That's not going to do either. So you've got to make some choices. Oh, I think my dog wants in now. Of course, you know. It's got to be right in the middle of me doing this. Getting a little obsessive here about this wash or this primer now, which is part of the reason why I'm switching over to the dry brush primer or the airbrush primer, because I feel like I'll be able to get in more places. And since we're starting to do a channel, I want to make sure everything's going to look as clean as possible. Well, channel and business, so I mean double whammy there, right? So anyway, I hope everybody's having a lovely day. It's another beautiful, seasonally beautiful day, an unseasonally beautiful day here. Let me run and grab that dog real quick. I'll be right back before she drives me nuts. I love my animals. They're very nice, but they always seem to be just a little bit crazy when I'm trying to film or stream, or whatever you call it, streaming. I gotta remember that. Okay. So I wonder what the original. We should take a look at what the source material is here. Hold on. Barbgaunt images. Alright, here's the exact one we're looking at right there. And it's got like a... They made its gun kind of red. That's pretty cool. And it looks like... Here's another shot. It looks like the parasite is the same colorations. So, cool. And then we'll have to think about that gun. I think the hard shell will be our Payne's Gray that we've been doing on all the hard shell things. But the inside of the gun, now we've got some options. We may be adding some colors to our scheme. That's really neat. I like that idea a lot. The more colors I can put into something, the happier I get. That's probably not really a good idea, but you know, whatever. Well, cool. Now that we know that. Let me make sure I've got this. Something seems off with this camera. I'm always tinkering with things. I probably should leave it alone, but... Yep, nope, the zoom's all the way in. I wonder if we should bring the focus up just a little bit. If it'll let me. I don't know if it's going to let me. Oh well. Well, that looks sharper anyway. Maybe it did let me. Maybe it just didn't look like it was. I don't know. One of these days we're going to get a producer or something. We'll let them play with all that. How funny is that? I mean, I don't really actually think that's going to happen. If it does, I'll eat my words. If I have to hire a producer, I will honestly, if I have to hire a producer, I will write that stuff on a piece of paper and I will eat it. Now do the thing that y'all do when people say crazy stuff on the interwebs. Real key here, make sure you got super thin paint. Don't do this with if it comes straight out, it's going to be too thick. I keep adding water to it as I'm going. You don't really see the water going down on the palette, but it's down there. And I'm making that paint thinner. Because the paints I use, they're going to come out super thick. So definitely, if you're using the same thing I'm using, you want to make sure you're thinning it out. And you need to work, you're going to want to work on your consistency control. Like how thin and thick do you need it to do certain things? Because like a certain thickness it's not going to stick, and yeah, like the base coat I put on this was super thin. I put it through an airbrush and just popped it on there so that we could play. And that's why I'm having to come back and do a lot of this redo of this base coat, which, while it makes for good videos, it is rather time consuming and a little annoying. But it usually takes 2 coats anyway, so I wasn't too terribly worried about it. And all's well that ends well, right? That's the real key. It's all's well that ends well. Trials and tribulations will always come. That's life. You can't get away from it. The key is to take your trials and tribulations, try to find a way to turn it around, use it to fuel your rise, your rebirth, and whatever you want to call it, your change in lifestyle. And somebody asked me on Reddit what I considered my style was. I didn't realize there were so many styles of like officialized styles of miniature painting. So I got to look into that so I can figure out what my style is, because I didn't know that was a thing. I just paint it the way it seems like it needs to be painted. I learned how to do art a different way. I learned art more of a classical way, and with more classical style materials. And I'm really good with sketch pads, and I can do pastels, and I can paint, obviously. But yeah, I learned art in a very rounded way. So my experience in art isn't always the same as other miniature painters. I actually wanted to be an artist before I became a chef. But everybody talked me out of it. What was I thinking? That was a time I should have listened to everybody. I shouldn't have listened. Matter of fact, I shouldn't listen to everybody in general. You should really set your own course. But you should also try to take advice from people. And these were the adults telling me it's a bad idea. And then things went sideways, and I needed money, so I got into culinary, and I became a chef. also sometimes I feel like maybe my former life I need it in order to appreciate and truly understand how much I enjoy art instead of getting burnt up for people who don't always appreciate what you're doing. Some people do, guys. Some people are really awesome. You get really great customers out there when you're in the restaurant business. And then you have some of them that just like, they just ruin it all. I don't miss that. I miss my good people. I miss the people who understood what a good restaurant was. Came there because they wanted a good restaurant. They weren't working for a, I don't know. I'm gonna start rambling about stuff that doesn't matter. Can't live your life backwards, folks. Gotta keep moving. And that's what Barbgaunts do. They just keep moving, and then they set up their little, they're like mortars. They fire these big these little pieces fire out into nowhere, and you know, impact other armies and tear them up, I guess. It's awfully violent. Okay. Alright. Got a good looking base coat. Let's go ahead and, I think we are going to go ahead and throw a little bit of magenta. Gotta get a little more water there. And that's why, you know, I leave a lot of room between my things, because I want to make sure I've got the room to mix stuff. Alright, so this little part here, red that up, red that up. A lot of this stuff won't show anyway at the end, but I like it having that base of that magenta, even if I'm the only one who sees it. I'm glad Jared said something, otherwise I wouldn't even know if we were functioning. A lot of my info seems to be off. I don't know if I'm missing more comments or not. Hopefully not. I'm just trying to get in between those little cracks and crevices. When we come back to do this later, it'll be more important. These guys have these big wide like linebacker pads. We're gonna do those magenta. That'll look good. A little magenta underneath that. So weird. Such a weird little creature. It like stands on 3 legs to fire. It's basically like a tripod. Its other 2 limbs are stuck up in its little deal, and then it has this one little like Tyrannosaurus claw. I got little bitty arms, a big old head, and I just don't think this plan was thought through. I love that silly movie. If If you've never seen Meet the Robinsons, it's actually pretty funny. It's a kids movie, but it's amusing. Highly recommend. Okay. So we got that part done. We're going to go ahead and make a little quick wash here. And what that means, super thin. And just all over our details. And try to get all those cracks filled in. Probably need to go to the other side first. Since we were just here. We're going to deal with that brain stuff later. A little bit more water, a little bit more paint. And you want this pretty wet, real thin. Almost like a watercolor paint. That way it really sinks into your cracks. So you really need it to go down in there. You know, take care of any places where, you know, maybe we don't want the lighter color to be in it. You know, the shadows and the, yeah, so it's basically going to contrast it. And you can buy, there are products out there that are like contrast paints that supposedly do this really well, and yeah, they work pretty good. They come in a variety of shades and stuff like that, which is great. I definitely am way more old school. Again, back to that, I have that little bit more of a, my experience with art is a lot more classical. I grew up with, you know, a very artistic family. My grandmother painted and my aunt painted professionally. And there's a lot of, and my grandfather built boats and stuff like that. My other grandfather was an architect. It's really funny. My grandfather that built boats was a banker in his career. So like, you know, went from dealing with people's money to building his own little boats for fun as a hobby. But you know, painting and modeling and stuff like that is definitely in my genes. Oh yeah, look at that stanky brown. Yeah, nice and dried up now. We can get in here and get all this work done real quick. I'm gonna make it super easy since it's opened up that we can get in. We're just gonna do all this, and then we'll do the back side of that other piece, attach it, and then paint it to match. And keep moving your model around, rotate around, take a look. Make sure you got everything you want done. Oh, but it's got to be, I think there's a little purple section that's got to get done in there. We'll deal with that later. A little bit more here maybe. And sometimes you've got to do a round or two of these washes. It depends on how thick the wash is and how much of a discoloration you want, how deep the shadows you want them to be, and how thick you made that paint, or thick or thin you made it. Made your wash. All that matters. You can see how this side's starting to dry out now. Maybe. Focus, Steve. Come on, Steve. I'm gonna stick it all the way up in your eyeball. Come on. No. Oh, this focusing pretty good as thing go. Every time I think I have this thing dialed in, I find out I'm wrong. Come on. Hang on. Let's try one more little deal. Oh, I think I figured something out. Hold on just a second. Oh, baby. Oh, I figured out. Yes. Guys, I think I figured out something super important here. I think I've manually set the camera to have that focus right here in front of us. Yes. I'm super happy, proud of myself. You know, I don't care if you all are not. I mean, I do. Don't take that wrong. I'm super proud of myself, and whether anybody tells me they're proud of me from figuring that out, I don't care, because I'm so proud of myself. That's what I mean. You guys are amazing, and I do appreciate all your comments. It really does mean the world to me. But I'm so proud of myself right now that I don't need any. I don't require. That's the word you should use. Require. Don't require, but would gladly accept. Everybody likes praise, right? I mean, like, you can't. I think we can all agree that everybody likes praise. Okay, I'll make that tail funky. Maybe just because the music's getting a little crazy over there. Made me want to make it funky. Okay, so, and then what I've done in the past is, although I think we need to get a wash on this side. We were just talking about that before we got started on working this camera. Well, I'm glad we finally got Cox in here. None of this would have been possible with my other internet. I wouldn't be able to load it up in this kind of HD. We didn't have the upload speed capability to do it. And now we do. Look at that. That's awesome. I'm super excited. Hasn't moved at all. I mean, I suppose I should have done that on, like, oh, I don't know. What's the, you can do it closed and private where people can't see what you do. I probably should have gotten all this stuff worked out on that. But it would have taken me, like, forever. So I figured I'd just jump in and get started. Oh, yeah. That wash looks super good. All right, while that's drying, let's work on this arm. Pretty sure that's his arm. Like I said, they all kind of look the same, so that one will fit, whether it's his or not. We gotta figure out the gun, so we're gonna think about that later. Right now, what you need to do is all these pieces, all these parts. Oh yeah, it's even working for the little pieces. All these parts that we know need to be our Naples yellow and magenta and all that. The nice thing about the push fits is that we can just paint this up and snap them together. It'll be fine. There's some small, like, deterrence from push fits. And that just means it's like a snap-on product. You know. Oop. Oh, let that roll around. Alright, so that's plating. That's hand. That's hand. I got the dropsies today. It's just going to make sure it's going to look a whole lot smoother when it's all said and done. I don't like doing them when they're little itty bitty spiny pieces, but when it's a piece this big, yeah, it's not that big a deal. We can go ahead and get that underneath, because you're going to see it. Maybe not as much as you might think, or as much as I might think, or whatever. But you'll see it. I definitely think I want to make that armor casing Payne's gray. I don't know what we're going to make that interior part of it. Bright red, maybe. We'll do it that crimson color. Payne's gray on this side too. Just where we're kind of waiting on that Naples to dry before we wash it, and then switch back over to our base piece. Just kind of laying down some markers right now. We'll figure out some stuff later on. In tomorrow's show, we'll be able to get more into this one. But cool, man, if I've got this, if I finally got the focus right, then we can worry about the next couple of things. Man, I'm super excited about that. I think that means we can bring up the light. Maybe even see things a little bit better. A little bit better light. Oh my gosh. Where's Karn? Where'd he go? Oh yeah. See, now that's dang near exactly what it looks like in person. Yes, super excited. I'm so stoked. Victory. Yeah, you gotta relish in your triumphs, everybody. Do that. Always And if you have a triumph, come here and tell us so we can all relish with you. That just brings that skeletalness like right out. Boom. Show all those details off. It's got a whole bunch of them. And that's the idea behind a contrast paint, is that it'll hit all those crevices for you. Get that done. Cool. Alright. Now let's take a look at this guy. Got a little poolage going on right here. I think we can actually pull that out. Yeah, alright. That's part of his arm. Okay. Now, I want to make a little bit of a wash out of this sienna. And we'll wash that on there. And that's just going to help soften some of the edges. I mean, not quite be ready. Not quite dry enough. And maybe not. So we might have to wait on that. 47 minutes. Alright, well, over here, drop in some of this Payne's Gray. This little dew claw thing is so funny. He definitely gonna smack you with it. Me and my friend are making fun of all their little hoofs the other day. And about how I say hoofs. Like a lot of people say hoofs. And it's technically correct. You could say that. You can also say the archaic form, which is hooves. And I'm a weirdo, so you know I like to say, like, you know, kind of archaic kind of stuff. And so he was kind of giggling at me. I totally deserved it because it's funny. And I'll own it because it's funny. Hoofs. And hooves. Hooves. English is such a funny language like that. We do this thing with English where it evolves. So like we stop using a certain thing, or like certain words start meaning other things than what they used to mean. I suppose every language does that, unless they're dead. If you're not familiar with a dead language, there's certain languages that don't really evolve because they're no longer spoken. So there's not enough people developing the language to make it progress. It's like English progresses and Japanese progresses and certain other things progress. Because there's enough of a zeitgeist, enough of a personage, a culture, whatever you want to call it, to drive the idea of the language forward. I'm going to put a little bit of this magenta in down here. Again, we're going to come back and fix a lot, clean a lot of this stuff up, so don't stress it too much. I mean, don't go crazy. Get magenta all over everything, but do. All right. Now we're dry enough for this next wash. And this is just going to help soften up that Sienna and help kind of show our transitions when we get to those. It'll help them show up a little better, a little easier, I think. After having done this technique or this paint scheme several times now, I think I've gotten the hang of it. Gotten the idea though how it should be painted in the most easiest way possible. And that should be your goal whenever you create a paint scheme for your army. Don't make it so complicated that you can't paint it, whether because you don't have the current ability or you just simply don't have the patience to do it that way. Which both are valid. Both are valid. Just want to make sure I say that. Because like you don't, sometimes you feel like, oh, this will be really cool, and you get into the project and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't do this. But I think that this looks too cool not to do it this way, so I'm totally gonna do it this way. All those, man, those Barbgaunts are. Whew. And I don't even have a bunch of Barbgaunts yet. That's one of my next group of things I gotta buy for the army is Barbgaunts. I'm gonna paint a ton of those things. Lots of wash, lots of wash. I really think that doing it this way is going to be a heck of a lot faster. It already seems a heck of a lot faster. Sweet action, Jackson. I don't feel like it lost focus at all that whole time. It's been in focus. It's not when it's way down here. As long as I'm up here where I like to paint, it looks like we're in pretty dang good shape. I can't wait to watch it on the playback. Alright. And now we gotta let that all dry. Make sure we don't need another coat of that wash, which I don't think we will. Might need another one of our raw umber on this. It helps thin that stuff out for us. We're going to let that dry. And, well, folks, getting kind of close to winding down. Especially because we got to let that dry. So we'll probably be back tomorrow to finish this guy up. Get it rolling in the right direction. I figure out what to do with this spore down here. We're going to have to get the purples out soon. I'm going to get all those purples in. I guess there's a couple of these little dew calls I could do. While we're just sitting around. I try to at least fill an hour. You know. Hope I haven't missed a lot of comments. There's something's going on with all of my stuff, I think. It shows me still is live, but I may have missed some chats. Because it doesn't say I have any viewers, and I know that that's not true. But, you know. Never know. Anyway, yeah. So we got that far on the Barbgaunt, and this will go back on. This guy goes on there. It'll look great. It's all said and done. And we'll have 5 of these guys. So I'm going to work on the other ones, you know, kind of over the next couple hours or so, and then and I got to take a boy to soccer practice, and then we'll be back tomorrow to take a look at all this fun stuff and get this Barbgaunt figured out and finished up. We got to figure out how we want to base them. They're kind of further back, so I think maybe they need to be, you know, in the on the street. Maybe we could put them in the street, or maybe some rubble, or you know, whatever. We'll figure it out. We always do. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great day. I had a great day, and have a great afternoon. Find something to paint, or maybe watch somebody else paint some stuff. Definitely recommend. There's some really cool hobby channels out there. There's a Sergio Calvo, man. If you want to see like my hero, that guy is outstanding. His work's so good. And then you know there's Bill paint stuff and Hobby Time, and eBay Miniature Rescue. If you've never watched eBay Miniature Rescue, that guy is really cool. He like buys stuff off of eBay and then strips it and like repurposes it. So he buys a bunch of minis when he finds like old paint jobs that need to be redone or whatever. It's a pretty neat show. So definitely check that guy out. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate it. Have a great night.